Hey everybody, I just finished the Cuckoo Clock of Doom from the original Goosebumps series. I want to start by saying I've actually read all of the original Goosebumps books, but I really wanted to go back and reread every single one because what Goosebumps YouTuber doesn't read all of the originals? That's the best ones, we got to review them. I actually took some time and done the math when I first read this book. It was 22 years ago. So yeah, this wasn't fresh in my mind. I actually was blessed enough to buddy read this with somebody, and we're actually going to be buddy reading more of these original Goosebumps books, so that's going to be really fun. I do have a quick story about this book that I'm sure I've already told in the Mount Rushmore of books. I actually have two funny stories, but one of them I haven't told yet. So when I was a kid, I had probably 5 or 6, 7 Goosebumps books that I had in my closet. They were like laying under toys and all of this stuff, and I never took care of them. They were just like laying in there. I got them from a family member, and I got them just because the covers. He gave them to me, and I was like, oh, these are really cool. And I wasn't a reader. In fact, I got tested to be not a good reader or whatever. And it wasn't that I couldn't read. It was just I never stayed focused. I would actually have in the AR accelerated reader classes, I would just guess on the test, wouldn't even read the books just because I thought it was boring. Then I met a friend that told me about this book, and I was just showing him off to him one day, and he said, "You should read this one. It's really good." He said it has pictures in it. I was like, "This doesn't have pictures in it." So I basically read this book out of spite, and I remember reading it, and I was just like, this is really good. This is awesome. I love this. Never found the pictures. Years later, I figured out he was talking about the TV Presents book. So yeah, I mainly read this book out of spite when I first read it. One other little quick story that I thought as I got older was really, really endearing. This isn't my original copy. This is an original copy from my childhood, but this isn't the first one I owned. The very first one I owned, the front cover is actually off of it, and it has duct tape across the side. And my dad, when I was a kid, I got upset because the front cover came off, and he said he could fix it. And my dad is one of those that would actually fix books and stuff like that, but he would fix it the dad way. If I needed a pencil sharpened, he would pull out a pocket knife and he'd sharpen it for me. That kind of dad is the kind of dad that I have. So yeah, also very nostalgic. We'll start with this cover too. This cover is absolutely gorgeous. One of my favorite covers in the series. I've told this story multiple times too. The little 25-cent mark up there at the top of this book means a lot to me. There's a thrift store that's still open to this day, but they don't get Goosebumps and stuff hardly anymore. The 25 cent was how much I paid for this book. So when we go out of town or when we go to town to buy books and stuff, my dad will tell me, get as many as you want. It's books. It's not going to hurt you. So it was really, really cool. So yeah, the story itself as an adult, as a kid, I loved this book. And as an adult, I still loved it. I still had a great time with it. And it was almost surprising how good this book actually was, because I was kind of scared. I was going to be nostalgic. Nostalgia might have lied to me, and maybe this wasn't as good as I thought it was, but it was good. In fact, it was better than I remembered, because there were a lot of scenes that I didn't remember and probably didn't even understand as a kid, And there's a lot of stuff that there are 1 or 2 flaws that I pointed out in the book, but overall it's still really, really fantastic. The story itself is about Michael Webster. He has a bratty little sister named Tara the Terrible, and she's just mean just to be mean, and she bullies him. She's younger than him, but she bullies him, does all kind of stuff. They're at a birthday party. She trips him. He falls into the cake. She tells his crush that he likes her. He gets a brand new bike for his birthday, and she tries to climb on it and falls off. And everything that happens, their parents are very quick to join Tara's side. So the parents are actually just as bad as Tara in this book. So yeah, one day, Michael Webster's dad brings home an antique cuckoo clock. And he tells them that he got it from this place called Anthony's Antiques and Stuff. He's been wanting it for years. This clock has little dials down the center of like dates and stuff. And after the clock runs to the next date, it's supposed to go to whatever date it is, which the family, even the mom points out, it's kind of weird. Like, who would forget like what date or what year? I meant what year, not date. Like what year, had little years on the side. And, she even points out like, who's going to forget what year it is? But anyway, they get this clock, and the dad even points out that this thing could have, it's a legend, like the legend says that it has like a time, time travel aspect to it. And when I read this as a kid, I didn't remember that, not at the beginning. I remembered it much differently. I remembered it, him learning that it was taking him back in time gradually, like he didn't know what was going on. And that was kind of right, but not like, they didn't even, in my kid mind, I didn't even remember them mentioning time travel, but they did. They thought that it does this. So anyway, Tara, is terrible and does all this stuff to Michael. And he finally gets up to a point where he can actually get her back. The dad kind of gets on to Tara, but not much. Michael even points out that she's barely even in trouble, but she likes to run her hands along the cuckoo clock and all that. So he says he's going to do something to the cuckoo clock to get her in trouble. And what he does is he takes the head of the cuckoo clock and turns it backwards when it comes out. And what essentially happens next is Michael starts going back in time, starts reliving the birthday party, and trying to avoid things that happen throughout like his school year and different things like that, but there's no avoiding it. It happens anyway. This book gets really, really good, and that's basically the plot. Michael has to find a way to get back in time, and get back to normal. This book was, again, just as good, if not better, than I remembered as a kid. There are some things that I didn't remember. Like, for example, the time perspective of this book. I couldn't remember exactly, like, did he just like start waking up different times? And he does, like, he goes to sleep, wakes up, he's a lot younger or whatever. And I didn't know exactly how it transitioned into your next day and stuff like that. I also didn't remember how, like, or why, and it doesn't really tell you, like, why it starts jumping more than one day. It just starts advancing very quickly. And that's just the mystery of the clock. We don't really know why this happens. It just starts doing it, But other than that, this book was perfect. It did have some humor to it, which I missed as a kid. And the feeling of dread and hopelessness is very, very clear in this book. There's a scene where, and Stein does it to this day, like certain scenes like this, but he goes to get to the cuckoo clock to turn the head back forward to start, going back in normal time, and the clock's not there. But the clock hasn't gotten there yet because it's like the day before his birthday, like it, and it's so clever. It's good. I really enjoyed that. But yeah, The Cuckoo Clock of Doom is without a doubt one of my favorite books. I'm happy to start this series with the very first book I've ever read in the Goosebumps series. That takes place majority on a birthday. So yeah, it's very fitting that this is the one that I'm starting out with. I can't wait to see what next month brings and see what book my buddy Reed is going to pick. But yeah, The Cuckoo Clock of Doom, those two minor complaints, and that's not really even a complaint, I give it a 5 out of 5 stars. Again, this book's incredible. One of my favorite books in the series. One thing I wanted to point out too, really quick, was how fast-paced this book was. I mean, not a lot happens. It's just a kid trying to go forward in time, like trying to get things back to normal. But this book feels like I could honestly just start it again and read it like before this week is over with. And I'm not saying that as just because the book's short. It's just It's very engaging. It's very, 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 like, the pace is perfect. Like, I hate to say that the pace is perfect because I'm sure there's other Goosebumps books that has better pacing, you know. But this one, the pacing was just perfect. It was just, like, I literally read, like, 50 pages of this book when I first opened it up, and usually I stop around, like, 7. You can kind of get a feel of the book, but even the newer Goosebumps books do not, like, match this level of, what do you call it? Like, just pacing and engagement and all that stuff. So, yeah, the Cuckoo Clock of Doom, I give it a 5 out of 5 stars. It's still one of my favorites. It's probably going to be the favorite until the day I'm dead and gone, and even past that. So, yeah, the Cuckoo Clock of Doom, 5 out of 5 stars for me. Again, I can't wait to see what's next, and I'm very blessed and very happy to have a buddy to buddy read these books with. So yeah, very exciting. So yeah, please let me know in the comments below, what did you think of the Cuckoo Clock of Doom? Is it one of your favorites or one of your least favorites? You know, or what are your favorites in the original series? I know that there's probably going to be some that I'm going to get to that I really liked as a kid that aren't going to be that great. I have a bad feeling about certain ones because nostalgia will lie to you, but yeah. I'll give you a quick example. The Werewolf of Fever Swamp is one of my favorite Goosebumps books too, and I remember loving it as a kid, but I do remember the werewolf not being a big part of it until, like, towards the end. And as I've gotten older, I've read a lot of books that have that same kind of scenario where you don't see the main thing that you're promised until the end. So I'm interested to see how that's gonna kind of play out. See if I like it just as much or see if I just don't like it, you know. I'm sure I'll like it, you know, but we'll see. Yeah, but the Cuckoo Clock of Doom, 5 out of 5 stars for me, guys. Thank you for listening to me ramble. Thanks for the buddy reads. Yeah, I'm very excited to keep on going with my more books and more reading. Like I said, this is a very special book to me, and this is very special to even, you know, be reading this again. I mean, it sounds kind of crazy, but it's just, you know, like, the very first, this is the book that got me into Goosebumps. This is the book that made me want to read more Goosebumps. If I would have picked up Chicken, I don't think that I would have been, you know, reading as much as I am today. So yeah, very blessed and very excited to keep going. But yeah, 5 out of 5 stars for me, guys. I've done rambled enough. Please let me know in the comments below, what did you think about the Cuckoo Clock of Doom and any other Goosebumps from the original series. I do plan on doing Series 2000. All of the books that I just haven't done reviews for on YouTube that I haven't read, you know, recently. Like I said, it's 22 years ago since I read this book. I was 10 years old when I first read my first Goosebumps. So yeah, yeah. Again, 5 out of 5 stars. Bye bye.